Bane from DC Comics is absolute proof what guys have been saying for years. Girls don't want someone funny. They don't want someone who's intellectual. They don't want a great smile. I mean, look, Bane doesn't have any of those, but he gets the chicks. Muscles is what it's all about. Hey, my name is Mr. X. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. We are giving away $1,000 statues to you guys. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Today on the Extreme Channel, we're looking at a custom Bane diorama. So this is a statue, obviously, of the DC character Bane. This is custom, so Warner Brothers, who owns DC, doesn't know about this. They didn't sign off on it, unless you guys are watching. If so, you should hire me, because I'm awesome. But anyway, I'm really excited to review this piece. It's been one of my most anticipated statues for a long time. In fact, I used to own 3 other pieces, and this is going to take the place of all 3 of those. So first was Sideshow's Bane statue. This right here, I still think it's an amazing statue. It's one of the best quarter-scale Banes out there. And then I had a quarter-scale Harley, also from Sideshow, which I thought was really good as well. And clearly these are comic-based. Then I had this Poison Ivy, which I didn't think was good, but at that time there was a lack of options in the quarter-scale Poison Ivy statues. So as I said, this replaces all of them. Kind of. There's some issues here with scale we're going to talk about during the design part of this review. But this was highly anticipated. He or they are finally here. That's probably the pronouns they're using. And I absolutely love it. However, it's not going to be without its issues, and even things like the assembly was not without its issues. We're going to cover all that, but for this moment, just kind of enjoy looking at it. We're going to do some close-up video as well, so stay tuned for that. All right, first topic on the docket, of course, is concept. To me, one of the most important parts of a statue. One of the reasons you'll buy it and won't buy it 100%. So as I said, it's a diorama of these 3 Batman villains. And I think they did an amazing job. It's kind of an ode to both Bane, and then they threw in Poison Ivy but gave her a pretty big part. And then kind of threw in Harley as an afterthought, but let's look at why. The base is all Poison Ivy. You can see the plants threading everywhere, coming out of the dirt. There is a small museum base on the bottom, which I'm not a huge fan of. And it's even lifting Poison Ivy up, pressing her against Bane. Now, while I'm not a huge DC comic guy, I do know there is a decent history between them in the comics, so this makes sense. And Bane is huge. He's massive. He's overtowering her. And I don't think Bane is necessarily misscaled. Again, we're going to talk more about this later, but she's probably underscaled. We'll come back to that. So he's this hulking figure coming forward, has this realistic take on the Bane outfit. He's bulging out everywhere. You can see where the implants of his Bane serum were. You can see it on his back. You'll see that more later. It's awesome looking. Then he has some pouches, I guess, to hold some shit. Maybe for the ladies. And then as you move up, just monstrous and evil, couple different portraits we're going to look at. You see all the serum being fed to his head. And then Harley is sitting up there very playfully on him. And a little bit of a weird outfit. She's got almost like a nurse's outfit. So it's not your traditional Harley outfit, which I think is both a pro and a con. But sitting up there with a big-ass gun. And this is him just enjoying his ladies. And what's crazy about this is all 3 of them could kick most people's ass. While the women do look a little bit innocent, we both know that they are very deadly as well, just as deadly as Bane. But this is awesome. How often do you get a diorama with 3 different people on it? So I 100% think this is a 5 out of 5 on the concept, without a doubt. Design. So first, I got to give them a lot of props because they went really elaborate, and I always say the more elaborate you go, the more likely there's going to be issues, so some of it is a little forgivable. But before that, here is the unboxing and assembly. 2 boxes, which isn't too bad considering how many pieces there are. And both of them did have a very cool looking art box. There's the front and the back. I thought that was neat. Your standard black foam that you usually have with custom pieces and straps. No breakages, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So there were 4 layers. Each box had 2 layers. This was the first box. Then the second box had multi-layers as well with just the base on the bottom. It's a pretty big base. So you saw me have issues with the assembly. Mainly, Harley would not key in. So I actually had to use a hairdryer on the key and pin in her ass to get her to insert right. And I'm sure there's some type of sexual joke in there, but I can't figure it out. You're losing it, Mr. X. You're losing it. That's the one thing you had. Otherwise, everything fits very nicely. One negative, and I don't know if it's a negative or positive, but Poison Ivy doesn't exactly press against him. And I don't know if she's meant to. I think she is, so that's a little bit of a miss in my opinion. And then I did have a little bit of paint damage on one of Poison Ivy's portraits. This was missed in the QC as well. And before we look at the switch out options, I will measure this. 20 inches wide. It's about the same deep, and the tallest part, obviously being Harley up here, is just at 30 inches. So for what's supposed to be a quarter scale piece, this is huge. One of the largest quarter scale pieces out there. Now, Bane is a huge guy. He's very hulking, and I think they got his size, his scale correct. He might be a tiny bit overscaled, about 5%. However, the pieces in front, if they are supposed to be quarter scale, they are severely under quarter scale, 1/5 at the most. I even took their heads off, put them next to some other quarter scales. They are too small. So this begs the question, was that intentional? And if it was it the right thing to do? You have a quarter scale character, maybe even a little bit bigger, and then 1/5 or smaller scale characters, so that way they don't actually block the main character. That might have been the intention behind it. Either way, it makes it more of a standalone piece. I think it will work okay with other DC pieces. I quickly took the body of Poison Ivy and put it next to a Riddler that he's going to be next to. She was significantly smaller, but some women are dainty. Some men are too. Get in the gym, eat some eggs. So I still think it's a miss. Now, I'm not saying I have a better solution, but that's why I don't make statues. Now, they did offer some cool switch out options. First, the two Bane portraits are both amazing. Here's one, kind of a traditional Bane. He's gritting his teeth. I really like this one, but I don't like it as much as the one with the full mask on. This just looks even more badass. So Poison Ivy has two portraits. They're actually pretty similar. One is kind of this calm one. This is the one I had damage on. And then the other one, she's smirking a little bit. I would have varied it up a little bit more if you're going to do two portraits. Now, Harley, what you see is what you get. I'm a little disappointed by that. I would have loved a traditional Harley, whether it's her pigtails in certain colors or with the actual clown outfit on the head. So again, I think that's a little bit of a miss. Now, keep in mind, I'm talking about all these misses with this statue. For every miss it has 30 things that it knocked out of the park. I'm just in a bad fucking mood right now. So even with all those misses and things I would have liked to seen different, I still think it's incredible. It's 4 out of 5. It worked. It was very complicated. And here he is. Paint and sculpt. So I saw a few misses on paint that weren't just QC issues. So we'll look at those. But the sculpt of Bane is absolutely incredible. I don't think that can be denied. And this one's a little bit harder to judge because there's so many parts to it. It's almost like judging 3 statues at the same time. But here's some close-up video. So many things to look at. Let's just start with Harley. So her hair's a little globbed together. And I'm not a fan of the expression on her face, especially around her teeth. And it almost looks like the paint smeared a little bit. So I think that's a little bit of a miss. And then even the netting doesn't look painted the best. So I think there's a little bit of miss on her specifically. You'll see a few other things because what's interesting is they did a good job with the paint and the leaves on Ivy. I think the sculpt, it does a fantastic job. You know, when doing something small like the toes there, let me try and focus. You do see a little bit of resin in between the toes, but that's a hard print to do in mass quantity, so I get it. I'm gonna leave Bane for last because other than a few things on his back, he's absolutely phenomenal. I think the green in the dirt looks good. It's very monotonous, and even over here you see like, what's that area? So there's definitely some misses on like maybe the print of this. Some of the paint, like I said, could have been better. I mean, look at her portrait. Again, maybe it's just her expression. They did use decals for the eyes. I would have liked to see a better job with the teeth. It looks like they used some type of PVC for the teeth, and I think that was for breakages, which is kind of nice. But it would have been nice to see more detail in the tongue and the teeth. So definitely some opportunity, but you buy this for Bane, and he looks amazing. I mean, they did a great job with the musculature and the paint. Look at the veins, the scars. the irritation around the skin where the nodules are. The strap right there looks like fabric, but it's actually sculpted and painted polystone. The tube running down his side, just amazing, amazing job. Look at his broken fingernails, more scars. There's a little bit of bleed over in the paint on the back. Trying to, where the tube meets the skin. Very hard to do. The pouches look nice. I've seen much better pouches on Prime 1 Studio pieces. I love the resin in the chamber here. That looks great. Hopefully that stays over time. That green resin effect. Very texturized pants. It's almost this camo fatigue stuff. I don't like the shine on his boots necessarily. I think that's a little bit of a miss. Because to me, this is like a very realistic Bane, like a lot of realism, you know, not comic, where the boots are very comic-y, in my opinion. There's that museum base we were talking about earlier. Same comments about Ivy's hair, kind of globbed together. Such a hard piece to judge. Like I said, am I judging Ivy? Am I judging Harley? Because I think the sculpt on Bane is much better than them. For the most part, the paint as well. Trying to give you guys some slow shots so you can really see what this looks like in real life. Yeah, a little bit of a plastic shine on the paint on that mouth. I think that could have been done better. Those are my thoughts regarding the paint and sculpt. A little mixed. It'll be interesting to see what the grades are. So I think the paint's a 3 out of 5 because of some of those things that I told you. You know, and remember, 3 out of 5 is you get what you pay for, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. Sculpt, I have to give it a 4 out of 5 despite some of my issues with the portraits of the women. And again, maybe it was more of an art direction thing, but it's still a 4 out of 5 solid on the sculpt. Now let's talk about the value on this piece. This was $1,300 plus shipping. They made 80 of them. That's a good deal to me. 3 quarter scale statues, kind of quarter scale, for $1,300. That's not bad at all. Especially like I talked about, if you want to get a bunch of Batman villains together, I think that's great. Shipping was quite a bit, as you saw the 2 big boxes. But I think the value is really strong. 80 is a little bit higher for a custom piece. And the statue market is really saturated right now, and there's some other great Bane pieces out there, so I think that hurts this. But I think the value is a 3 out of 5. If I wanted to, I could probably make my money back. If there weren't so many Bane statue options out there, I think the value would be a little bit higher. But customs are also a very limited market, so that automatically hurts the value in customs, in my opinion. Does this have the X factor? Is it a 5 out of 5? I thought it would be. I don't think it is. I think it's a 4 out of 5. It's better than I expected. But it doesn't have the wow factor that just absolutely blows me away. But I'm super happy I have this, and this is one of my final pieces in my quarter scale DC collection. I just have one more, and then I'm done. And that's actually from this same group who probably has about 75% of my quarter scale DC collection is from them. So I really appreciate them. I appreciate you guys. Let me know in the comments, are my thoughts wrong on this? Throw that down, because that could win you a statue. As we try to grow this channel, we like to reward you guys for watching and subscribing. So because of that, every 5,000 milestone when it comes to subscribers, we give away a couple $1,000s worth of statues. We've actually given away over 20 statues. To win one was easy. First, you gotta be subscribed to the channel. You'll get bell notifications when videos drop. Each video that drops, you wanna make a comment on those videos. We pick a random video, we give away statues based on a comment. You can say whatever you want. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you have any comments, again, please give those. And if you haven't subscribed, a lot of you haven't, please hit that like button. That won't make you subscribe. That doesn't make sense. Well, do that anyway. Get it?